Hello everyone. Welcome to the stream. We'll wait a few more minutes for some more people to join in, and then we'll get started. I'll switch over to my face for now. I'll just say hello to everyone and thank you for being here. We are going to cover a few things today, and then I'll be answering questions from chats and some that were posted ahead of time. Jess is taking care of sort of filtering the questions for me, so be patient so I get to yours in time. And yeah, let's just give it a few more minutes. I'll play with some dice while we wait, and then we'll get started. Pocket days. So yes, you've seen most of these anyway. Yes, so just a few more minutes. We're waiting here. We have new dice over here to play with. Look at this little guy. Oops. Over here. And then we'll wait till 1:03, I think, and then I'll get started. So in the meantime, enjoy the blinkies. Here. Lots of blinkings. By the way, interesting note, putting dice on webcam is really difficult because they tend to blow out the cameras. So I actually had to get a gamer webcam that has HDR. So fancy for this, because otherwise all you see is white, or like a really bright blue. So anyway, we're almost there, and then I'll be giving you an update and then answering questions. All right, so let's get started. Thank you again for being here. This is the first AMA/stream for Pixels. Please excuse any technical difficulties we're having. This is the first time. Hopefully we'll do it better. We wanted to try something different for one of the monthly updates, and hopefully you guys will enjoy this. You also get to see my face, and hopefully you guys will enjoy that as well. Yeah, so today I'll be talking about a status update, how things are going. I'll be addressing the two main questions that most backers have up to this point, which are obviously, why is it taking so long? And are you guys going to run out of money, etc. Those concerns. And then I'll be showing you some cool stuff and taking some questions. So to get started, obviously, this has been coming up, more and more over the past few months. Why is it taking so long to get my pixels? I want my pixels. What are you guys doing? What's going on? Why is it so difficult? And obviously, it's a long and complicated answer. It's lots of problems along the way. We underestimated the difficulty of moving from prototype to production. Most of this is really on me, as sort of being unaware of inexperience with this type of things. I obviously am a pretty decent engineer, creator, maker, whatever you want to call it, but I grossly underestimated the problems we were going to have along the way, right? The prototype looked great, so it looked like it would be easier than it was. That's basically, in a nutshell, the difficulties. However, the thing that really has been the most surprising for me has been the difficulty of moving to production remotely, right? That's a big part of why things take so long with Pixels. You know, every time we have to, you know, work on a problem, we have to deal with, you know, all of us being remote and distributed, and you know, communication sometimes being difficult. That being said, I'll have some good news about that very shortly. But I want to assure you guys that, you know, we are actually making progress, and in fact, right after this, I will show you, you know, basically, you know, that we're essentially there, right? We will be moving to production very soon, you know, next month, and in fact, I'll be traveling next month to China finally, after a couple years, right? Almost. Now that the country is open, I'll actually be able to go and oversee the production of our first batch, you know, and you know, help solve the last remaining issues. However, I expect those to be fairly easy at this point, because we have been putting a lot of effort into the development of our production system. The second question that comes up a lot is, yeah, that's great. You guys have been very transparent with your updates, and you know, we understand there's been issues, etc. But you know, does it look like you guys are going to be running out of money, you know, and you're not going to be able to fulfill our dice? That is a completely understandable question, and the saving grace here is really that the campaign was as successful as it was, and that we're a very small team. So at this point in time, we are, you know, still fulfilling all, you know, planning on fulfilling all Kickstarter orders. We, you know, cannot really afford too many more problems, right, and too many more delays. But at this point in time, we are still very confident that we're going to get through all the production. A lot of the work that, fortunately or unfortunately, we had to do because of the early shortages, right, has made, you know, has improved the cost of things for us overall, and so we're, you know, all in all able to make it work, right? So I want to make sure and, you know, comfort or what's the word? Reassure everyone, right, that we are still absolutely planning on shipping. When exactly? It's going to be 6 months until, you know, forever, until one day we ship 6 months ahead of time, right? Like basically, it's still, we can't provide exact estimate as to when we decide to ship. It will depend on a lot of decisions, like will we ship in waves or not, etc., right? Excuse me. But then obviously, oh, I don't know, I lost my train of thought. But yeah, so we can't quite give you shipping estimates today. However, like I said, we're going to be starting the first batch finally in February, and I expect the February update, you know, to essentially be me in a factory somewhere in China showing you dice, right? If not, maybe we'll delay the update. I don't know. Anyway, so I just wanted to address these first two things before we move on. I don't really want to go at length into why things took so long, or, you know, the details of how much money we spent here and there, because it's complicated. It's, you know, I'm more of the opinion of, you know, just, you know, show, don't tell. So I just want to show you guys that we are going to be making your dice, that everything is progressing, even though, you know, there's constant issues. You know, we're knocking them down one at a time, and you know, getting your dice made. So with this, I actually wanted to show you, to sort of like continue to give you confidence that we are there in terms of making the dice. I want to show you how they're made, right? As best as I can replicate it here, right? And so what I did is yesterday, I'm gonna switch over to a split cam here. Ooh, there we go. So Chinese. I'm going to show you basically how the dice are made by putting one together in front of you. And the idea is to show you how quickly that is and how efficient that is for the workers, and illustrate all the things that we had to figure out along the way. So it all starts with this, right? Oh, there we go. Move stuff out of the way. This out of the way. There we go. So this is the circuit board that we've shown in pictures before. This is the D20 again, because this is the one we have the most complete everything on. And it comes basically this way from the circuit board factory. It has all the components on them. It has a battery, the coil for recharging, and the counterweight. And it also has some sticky tape on it, and a weird connector, etc. A few other things. And what happens is we use this little weird connector here to program all the internals, and then the die basically is in this mode where it's doing its factory validation things, which we've shown before. But this die is now ready to be folded. We do some testing, but I'll skip it because it's similar to testing that I will show you later. We basically cut the little programming tab off because we don't need it anymore. We grab one of our little caddy, right? These little guys are injection molded caddies, and we fold the die into the caddy. So I'm going to do this right now. So I take the plastic backing off, and now I can actually put the die inside the caddy, and you fold it, and it's very precisely the shape that it needs to be to fit there on the caddy. It wraps around like a nice I don't know, like a folding jigsaw, or what do you call it? I don't know, but anyway, so there, now the circuit board is on there. It's stuck to the caddy, so it won't go anywhere. And the die now is, by the way, has gone into sleep mode because the LEDs are kind of disturbing, right? And then we fold over the counterweight. So, and we have a little, circle to know exactly where to put it. So I fold over the counterweight. It also acts as an anchor for a little Bluetooth antenna, the Bluetooth antenna that has caused us so many issues in the past. And then on the other side, we have the wireless charging coil that also gets stuck down in place. It actually, let me put it in place, there we go. It actually lodges inside the caddy to be held in place, and then the sticky tape holds it. And that's it. That's one of our cores, right? So once we have this, we put it in our first mold, which, I'm gonna do the cooking show thing, right? Which I did. I happened to make, put one of those in a mold yesterday. And so I have our first cast from yesterday, which I'm going to undo now live for you. There we go. So here, this is our mold. We showed, sort of like the design of these in the previous update, but these are two inner cores, that's what we call them, with the circuit board in there that you can see, and the fill sprue and all this stuff. And the important part here is that obviously we're doing white for the inside so that the light can shine and be diffused through them. And so then we can take them out of our molds. Oop. Ah, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Hold on 1 second. There you got it. Okay. Right. And then we have our inner core that we can clean up there, and then clean up the fitting screw. Oh, that went fine. And now we have our inner core. Once we have our inner core, we take the next mold, which are the outer cores. And these, I happen to have the factory ones here, so they're super shiny. And so we put those in the outer cores, right? So this one has the numbers on them. It's so shiny you probably can't see them. But yeah, so we put the inner core inside. There's room for 2, and then we close it, and now we can put the second color, which is now going to be, in this case, an opaque one. And then again, I'm doing the cooking show swap. Once we do this, we have we have our outer casting. Oh my God! Come on, there we go. And so this is how it comes out straight out of the molds. So now we have our finished, almost finished die. Oops. So I'm gonna get out of the molds. Thank you. There we go. I'll leave this one over there, and you can see that the flashing is almost non-existent on this one already. You know, we're still going to polish it, in part because over time the molds do degrade. So if we don't want to, you know, have to use a brand new mold every time, we still kind of want to buff it before everything. But this is what we get out of the molds. And then the last part, which I can't replicate for you here, but what the factory does is they cut the fill sprue off along with our caddy, which leaves the last face, the one face, flush, and then they engrave the last number. The engraving is something that you've probably seen, like if you've ever bought a promotion die. You know, like you can get a die with like your logo on it, etc. And this is what they, you know, what they do. They just laser the last face. So here we're going to do the same thing. And then, you know, once we laser the last face, I'm going to use this one as an example. We have a die, you know, that's finished. And so then we have the last part for the worker to do, right? Which is going to be testing this die. And I'm going to show you what it looks like for the workers. So hopefully you can see how efficient this is. And I'm going to put this die on the, where is it? 20, where are you, 20? There we go. And I'm looking for my magnet. Okay, so we sort of showed this before, but right, I'm resetting the die. Hello. Resetting the die with the magnet. And then I use the camera on the phone to decode the ID. Oops, shaking. Decode the ID of the die. And this is so that, you know, in a factory where there's, hello, oh, it's too much light. Come on. Come on. There we go, okay. You know, in a factory where there's a bunch of dice, you don't have to like look and scan through the devices. Oh, let's try again. Of course. Here, let's just scan it. Let's just go find it. There you are. Okay. All right, so now we are going to put the die on the charger. Oh, hold on. Right, and the app just tells, you know, walks the worker or through the steps to making sure the die is doing everything it's supposed to. Hold on. Oh, is this a different die? Oh, see, that's the problem. I didn't use the thing. All right. Anyway, I'm gonna skip it. Skip it. Cancel. Let's try again. Let's try this one. Anyway, we're getting there. Come on, come on, come on. There we go. Scan, connect. There we go. It's going through everything. So now it's asking me like, oh, are the, you know, checking all the LEDs. So that's one thing that the worker has to do by hand. Excuse me. And so of course it goes, okay, yeah, you can look at all the LEDs. Okay, they're all good. Perfect. Then it was waiting to make sure I removed it from the charger to make sure the charging is done. Then it asks me to put the die with the, you know, the blinking face up because it's checking the face. And actually I messed up because I put the wrong face up. But anyway, so this is like, you know, there would be a calibration error and, oops, close, excuse me. But you basically saw most of it. So we've been, you know, working hard to really streamline the manufacturing and testing process, right? So instead of having expensive equipment, all the workers need is, you know, a $100 Android phone and you know, after we work out the last issues, we'll be basically good to go and have everything set up. A lot of these features will probably make it to the regular Pixels app, because being able to recalibrate your die and do all kinds of testing is super useful. Let me show you a little bit more here before I go back and see. I have too many dice around. See, so that's why the LED thing is useful, because I don't know which dice I have around here. So let's say, for instance, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna connect to this die. This is our toolbox, by the way, I'm like, okay, I don't know which die this is, but I can blink it, and so now I know, okay, this is this die. And I can force it to, play a rainbow animation. I can see a bunch of statistics on, what's going on. This is our, debugging tool, basically. Like, the battery is 100%. Somehow the battery temperature is 100 degrees, which that's wrong still. It's on phase 17. As I move it, you can see the phase change. We have a bunch of stuff here. But anyway, this is not for the factory worker. This is for us, while we're debugging stuff. Anyway, so yeah, this is sort of a quick show of like how the dice are put together, and that we're ready to go for production. Basically, these molds are fantastic, and I really like how shiny they are. That helps a lot with longevity of the molds. But they did take a lot of work, because it has to be extremely precise in order for the numbers to come out clean, right? Like you can see in this one, that you don't want any opaque resin in the inside of the numbers. So as I mentioned in the intro, or in the early on, February is when we're going to start our first batch, and hopefully by the next update we'll have really cool pictures to show you of a bunch of dice being made and tested. Before I move on to questions, I just wanted to quickly show some of our other, basically ongoing, prototypes, development, like all the other dice that, of course everybody is anxious to see. We're working on them. The Pipped D6 looks really, really cool. This one I haven't polished because, well, it takes a long time and I have other things to focus on. I just want to make sure that they work. But you can see here it does, a lot of cool animations, because it has one LED per pip, which is great. The 6 here has kind of the opposite problem of, well, it's not that many LEDs in it, and so it's sort of, kind of not as exciting. But it's better for consistency with the other die sizes, right? And then, of course, I don't have a cast die of it, but we have the other ones. Like this is a D12 circuit boards, as we've shown before. Everything is progressing forward, sort of in parallel, with the D20 being the most sort of advanced. All right, so I'll switch now to questions. Oh, and one last thing, this is the large charging case, by the way. I'll switch now to questions. So I will go over the list of questions that I've had posted and try to answer them the best I can. Let me switch over to my face then and go over what I can tell. So a few of these questions were posted before the stream on a Google form. And so I'll try to go through them as best I can. So the first question is, doesn't have a name of who submitted it. Is what's your next project? Honestly, it's too early for me to even think about next projects. The dice are everything right now. And I believe, until we're strong, confidently shipping, then I'm not really allowing myself to think about other things. Not that it doesn't happen anyway, because when you're fairly creative, you can't help yourself. But no, the dice is everything that we're focusing on right now. Have you thought about a chunk D20? Yes, something that I would love to develop later. I think there's a lot of interesting stuff you could do with a much bigger D20, having more than one LED per face, for instance. Another question without a name. How's the team feeling about the project in terms of stress, expectations, community support? Honestly, community has been incredibly, incredibly gracious. You guys have been, for the most part, incredibly patient and supportive and encouraging throughout this whole endeavor. And so I really hope to make you proud and actually be able to ship you amazing dice. I just ask you to be a little bit more patient with us. We're doing everything we can. We're going to see this through, and you guys are going to have really, really cool pixels in your hands. Hopefully in 6 months. That's it. What is the overall lifespan of the dice? How many charge cycles can we expect to get out of them? So this is something I think I may have spoken about early on. The charge is a difficult thing to answer because they don't just die, right? Lithium batteries, they sort of like lose charge over time, right, over the lifespan. Most manufacturers will guarantee 90% charge retention up to 1,000 or 2,000 cycles, like charge cycles. But that doesn't mean that after those 1,000 or 2,000 charge cycles the battery is useless. It just starts to degrade, and after maybe a few more thousand charges, it only holds 50% of what it did when it was brand new. Since every charge for a pixel lasts a really long time, I should say, well, I should qualify that unless you're blasting the LEDs constantly, the charge can last a really long time. That should mean years of non-noticeable change in the charge life. Another question without a name. What would you do differently at the beginning of the campaign after going through all the unanticipated stuff? Oh my god, so much. If I honestly, well, it's a broad question, right? It's a long answer. But I think the main, as I mentioned, the main thing that I did not expect was how much more difficult it was going to be solving issues remotely, right? I think a lot of the issues which are unavoidable, right? Every project goes through a lot of issues. All the things that you use and buy every day, where fraught with tons and tons of problems during their development is part of it. But it was just figuring out manufacturing remotely has just been super tough, right? Of course, hindsight 2020, some decisions that I made along the way, I probably would tell myself not to even bother. Things like that. We had issues with the charger getting too hot early on, and we had issues with the antenna, all these things that ended up causing delays. Of course, in hindsight, I'd be like, yeah, no, let's do it differently, or etc. But some of those things are difficult to be objective about, right? Another question from an unnamed person: were there any points that you realized you needed to do a hard pivot to a completely different process than you had anticipated? Yes. Early on, we were trying to find a way to cast to make the shape of the dice, and investigated like different types of molds, essentially like injection molding for the dice, and just had to like go back to, no, we need to use expandable silicone molds, because that's the only way we can solve the other issues that we were having, namely the making sure the numbers are clean, that we can get those complicated shapes, etc. There's been a few other not as big changes, like for instance, going back on the Bluetooth antenna. It had this really cool custom design that I was really excited about. Thought it was going to, sort of like be the best of all worlds. And it turned out that it, didn't, it didn't work well enough at scale, right? That we had to revert to a chip antenna. But fortunately, thanks to all the sort of things we learned along the way, right, we were able to get a good solution. So the antenna, as a result, it's better than it ever has been, and we would have never figured out how, had we not gone through the costly and long problems of solving it. But yeah, that was one of those such pivot. Another submission from a named: if Pledge Manager opens and your production begins, then would you be able to provide estimated delivery dates for other rewards not listed? I'm sure you must mean like accessories or maybe something else. I'm not completely sure I understand the question. For sure, once we open Pledge Manager, we will have estimates on deliveries, right? I think that would be irresponsible to not. It's one of the reasons we haven't opened Pledge Manager, at this point, because we don't want to just, not be able to tell you anything. Another submission from unnamed: if we want to add more dice to our initial order when the Pledge Manager opens, will we pay based off the prices from the initial Kickstarter, or will there be updated prices? That is a very good question. We are probably going to have different prices. I'm going to have to go back to our conversations on that, but it's something we discussed, and it would be a little bit difficult to support a bunch of different prices. I think what we might do, and don't quote me on this, but what we might do is just overall rebate, like if you were an early backer, for instance, or something, some kind of extra nice thing for early backers. We'll see. The prices will change, but it should not be a massive change. Submission from another unnamed. While we know you can't provide any timelines, a lot of people. A lot of people who pledge would like to have an actual update on what is left to be done, so we at least have an idea of where progress on this project is and what's left to be done. I have to take a little bit of offense to that question, because that's what we're trying to do every month, right? So maybe you mean more like a scheduling, like a timeline update, and that's something that, I probably need to be better at communicating where we are, what is going on. I will work on that, and we'll try to be more communicative. But for the moment, 6 months until one day we ship 6 months ahead of time. Another question: I have faith that the Pixels dice will be put through vigorous testing before they're shipped to backers, but how long of a warranty will you be offering for the dice? I'm going to skip through the rest of the question, basically like cases, like things that could go wrong. We're going to offer, standard warranty, probably 1 year. We'll have to see, replacement if your die, if an LED goes out, it's obviously not your fault. We'll replace it. If you, crushed it into a hydraulic press, maybe we won't replace it. But yeah, it'll be a standard deal, right? Essentially. Another question, no name. Combining multiple. Oh yeah. So a lot of questions about running out of money, and so specifically in this case, if we've been looking at gathering capital and VCs. Let's see. What else? Providing something. It would be great to know if you if you are okay, if you're not, what are the plans, and if you're looking for more capital, etc. So at this time, we are not, because like I said, we are still on track to fulfill and be able to ship our refund. Again, like I said, because we fortunately were successful to begin with and are such a small team. But yeah, if the situation changes, we have a few different options. Uh, from investors to loans to things like that we can look at. But for the moment, there's nothing to worry about. Like I said, if we have too many issues going forward, things may change. But for the moment, we are okay. How can I get a refund? And how can I get a refund on this project, as it no longer seems like you have a working prototype, let alone any chance of making it into mass production? Well, thank you. That's so kind. Yeah, I'll move on. So, obviously, no, we do not offer refunds. I'm, very sorry. I know some people's financial situations, are difficult, and maybe they spent money early on and they wish they had it back, especially, now that, they've been waiting for this product for a year. A year past initial planned shipping date. But the money is being used, right, for all the development costs, etc. So we said it early on, we cannot offer refunds. And I need to remind maybe newer backers or people who maybe this was their first project that Kickstarter isn't a store, right? So you are investing essentially in the project, and we promise you a reward as a sort of exchange. Next question from Just Eric on YouTube. How are you liking this project overall? Thank you for that. Love hate at this point, right? I absolutely love the dice. Here, let me switch back to picture of the dice again. Oops. Oh, there's a lot of stuff on here. They're so cool, but it's been a lot of work as well, and so it gets tiring. But we're still really, really excited every time I can do this and I can see all the lights come on, and every time I make a new model, like for instance the pipped D6s here. I don't know what this one's not turning on, but this one, and I'm like, ooh, this looks so cool, etc. I get really excited all over again, right? And I know this wasn't asked right there, but yes, we can't help but think about what other colorways and other versions of the dice can we make, etc. We just constantly get very excited. But it's a lot of hard work, so sometimes you get tired. Let's see. Question from the Rebel on Twitch. When does Chinese New Year end, and how's the regulatory approval going? Oh, very good questions. Well, Chinese New Year is kind of still going, right? The actual holiday was the 23rd, 22nd of January. So, basically all of China has been on vacation since, I don't know, the 9th of January, and some will not go back to work until February, 3rd, 5th. It depends, right? I guess certain factories work different, sooner, go back to work sooner, etc. But yeah, we're right in the middle, so that's why in terms of updates from China, there hasn't been a ton between December and now. And the second question is, how's the regulatory approval going? So we got through our radio approval. We have one issue with the charger that we have to sort still, but we're working on it. We shouldn't be too much trouble. Honestly, it's standard stuff, but because there's a wireless charger, there's regulations there. Because there's LiPo batteries, there's regulation there, so you have to make sure the dice are not going to explode, that kind of stuff. So we're going through it. We're going to have to resubmit for some of it, but otherwise things are looking good. Um, let's see. Will this validation recalibration be possible for? Oh yeah, when I was showing the calibration stuff. Yeah, so I think I already answered that. A lot of the features, like decoding IDs or recalibrating the dice, is absolutely going to be available for users as part of the official Pixels app. The toolbox will also be available as a whole, but it's still it's a little bit more techy, so it may not necessarily be useful for everyone. But again, because we share everything, the toolbox and the toolbox code and everything will be available for everyone to look at. If you want a really cool React Native project to look at that involves Bluetooth and cameras and UI and 3D and stuff, yeah, it's a really neat project to look at. Let me see, a question from Jared5 on Twitch, and also for the Rebel. Any word on the Dev D20 dice? What are the ETA for the dev kits now? Basically, we've been going back and forth on the dev kits, between having them handmade here and there and here and there and then etc. At this point, we'll just be using dice from the first batch as dev kits, which means we'll have rewards for people, and what was I going to say? And then hopefully a few more for developers. We have been able to send dice to developers, this whole time, and things are some of our partners have been making progress and including integrating the dice into their apps. That is still going on, and going really well, actually. I can't really say too much at this point, but that is going on, and hopefully, yes, we'll have more dice for developers. That will just end up being the first batch. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Let's see. You mentioned. Hold on. Counterweight at the beginning of the stream. Has the randomness been tested on these prototypes? Excuse me. So this is a question from Jake Peterson on YouTube, asking about the randomness. Yes. So the dice have been tested, and they're not perfectly random, but they're good enough. And if you need perfect randomness, you probably shouldn't use these dice anyway. The interesting part is that the dice will tell you exactly how unbalanced they are, right? Because they, on purpose, can record every single roll. Pledge manager, not sure. Okay, question from Ryogishiki99. Pledge manager, not sure of its backer kit, but many use it. I'm not sure I understand, so I'll skip this question. When we announce we open the pledge manager, then we'll have more details about it. Don't worry, it'll be very useful, etc. Pocket Crab from Twitch asks if the dice will blend. That is a very good question. I think I should get a what's the name of that blender? Somebody should send me one as a so I can test it, so if it will blend, because I probably won't blend in my blender because it's not powerful enough. Sorry, that's funny. So. 2H Pocket Crab, any chance to include a little snapshot of the team with upcoming updates? As someone who was feeling salty before the stream, it's really reassuring to see the human in attack. Oh, well, thank you, Pocket Crab. That's really nice of you, really kind. Yeah, I mean, I guess part of it is why we decided to try a new format. I have a feeling it's going to feel long as a video for backers who are not on the live stream and just sort of hanging out. So we'll probably be switching back and forth between written updates and maybe some shorter video updates or stream, etc. But I'm all for it. I'm excited to get to the stage where the live streams is really just me showing you all the cool dice, right? And hopefully this will start very soon. So, but thank you for the suggestion. And the comment. I really it warms my heart for you to say that. So I'll try to make sure we show you more of our faces, a lot of my face. Thank you for the nice wishes. Just Eric, do the dice record rolls by themselves or through the app? Very good question. So we actually, Olivia and I, Olivia is the developer, have been, and as by the way, a nice aside, like when I say we're a small team, we have one developer, right? Before Olivia joined, it was me. And now we have him, and I'm moving on to other stuff, and the one person to develop an app, a library, a firmware, a testing app for the factories, right? Like, so we are very, very slim, right? And it's nice because you get to do different types of work all the time. You switch from literally, like I said, web stuff to hardcore register and embedded design. And anyway, sorry. So just to actually talk about it, do the dice record the rolls by themselves or through the app? The dice record the roll by themselves, but there is a memory consideration and a what do you call it? A non-volatile storage issue, right? So they need to store the rolls, but eventually probably offload it to the app so that if they get reset or something happens to the die, that information isn't completely lost. And they do have a flash memory on them, right? That's how all the profile stuff is stored, but we definitely don't want to be like writing to the flash memory every roll, right? Sorry, it's getting a little bit technical, but the short answer is we are working to make sure that you don't need the app to record the rolls, right? But then if you have the app, sort of transfer like, hey, these are the last 30 rolls that I did, and you can see the stats on the app. There's also like very limited memory on the dice themselves, so we have to be cognizant of that. Question from Apple Needs. Yeah, that's a great name. On YouTube, which is your favorite color that you are coming out with for the Pixels dice? Personally, I love the opaque dice. There's something about here. If I can wake up this one. Hello. Oh, this one maybe. There we go. I just think the light shining through the pips or through the numbers is just really, really cool. But it's not as intense as the light shining through the mostly translucent dice, right? So you can clearly see on camera these are way, way brighter. But the light shining through the numbers, like on this one here, right, is really cool. Like it's hard to say, right? Like it's your children, like you love them both equally for different reasons. I don't know. I don't actually have children. So anyway, yeah, I think probably one of the opaque one, just because it's more interesting to me, and also because it's more challenging to get right, and I guess so there's some like investment notion to it. From the Rebel, how long till they can run Crisis? Okay, what about Doom? Yes. Ryo Gishiki 99, is the goal to have dev kits and regular kits shipped at the same time, or are you prioritizing the dev kits? So the dev kits will 100% ship before regular rewards. They'll be shipped separately. They have separate packaging. We've had the packaging forever, and they will be a separate color from the other ones, I believe. So they're more unique. And so, yeah, they're going to be shipping early, but they are exactly the same dice inside. Like everything is exactly the same. Every die is a dev kit in a sense. It's purely a matter of getting it sooner than everybody else. DVG on YouTube asks, thank you so much for the whole team for the highly professional, accessible, and informative monthly newsletter. In all my years backing projects, y'all have said, that was not a question, but I take it. Thank you so much. You can really thank Jess for making sure that we set everything clearly every newsletter every month, even when the news is not particularly good. She's like, no, we gotta do it, right? Because sometimes it sucks to have to say like, nope, yep, there's another delay and blah 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 and etc. So, but thank you for the kind words. YouTube, just Eric, will they tell you when the memory is full? Yes. So, it's not like a computer or a phone that will tell you like, hey, your memory, is full. You should you should sign up for this monthly subscription to our cloud server so you can offload your dice rolls or something. No, but when you create patterns and things like that, there will be a limit to like how many can be stored directly on the die. In most cases, that shouldn't be a problem because you wouldn't be switching sort of profiles, super frequently, and when you do, it'll just update the die, right? Like everything that's on the die is also on the app that you use to customize the die. So worst case scenario is like, oh, I want to customize my dice to be different color set because my character is, who knows, I don't know, necromancer or something, and so I want my rolls to work this way and have these colors and these rules. It'll just be a button on the app. It will say like, hey, updating your dice, and it'll go pew, 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 program, and it'll be done. Greetings from Germany, from Ulick. Agree, it's nice to see a live person on a project. I'm excited to see my own dice. Thank you for the kind word. I'm excited for you to have them too. Pocket Crab on Twitch. I don't know if this has been covered in updates, but what's the lowest temperature these operate at? Just in case I want to fully commit to role-playing with Cryomancer. That's a good question. I have not tested the lower bound on the temperature. I can tell you they will work up to at least 60 some degrees Celsius. In fact, there's a specific measures we have to take to prevent the battery from charging under a temperature that is too low being 0, I believe. No, or yeah, I think it's 0 degree. No, 20, negative 20, and or too high, and too high I believe is 45 or 60. I can't remember, but anyway, it's somewhere in the specs. That's part of the certifications that we have to go through, and so if I can show you, yeah, the app here. Maybe I can show it on the app. It might take a while. Let's see if I connect to one of these dice. Hello. Hold on 1 second. Connecting. No, it's not there. Oh, hold on. Oh, it's not there. Refresh. There we go. I'll just connect to this one. Who are you? Hold on. Moving this. Come on. Oh, this guy. Yeah, it's there. There we go. Yeah, right now it's at 27. Ignore the actual battery temperature. This is incorrect. But yeah, so right now the internals are at 25, 27, depending. Anyway, but yeah, that's something we have to pay attention to. Let me switch. Actually, let me switch back to my face for now, and so I can take a few more questions. Let's see. So yeah, so sorry, to answer the question, lowest temperature, I'm not sure, probably 0 or -20. You know, every chip has a different minimum temperature. But yeah, we haven't really done any testing. From Bubonic MCCC on Twitch, so will the readout of the role that's sent to the phone or other device be able to interact with things like Roll20 or a Discord bot or something? Yes, absolutely, 100%. We are working on it with multiple partners. This is something that was, you know, very early on sort of mentioned, and it's one of the, you know, obvious goals. On top of that, because the APIs are public and open source, you know, if there is a platform that wants to support the DICE that is not sort of part of the people we're working directly with, you know, it'll be possible for someone, you know, some programmer or engineer to actually write the integration. One of the nice things with the DICE is because at the minimum viable integration is really just sending a number from the device to something, you can get up and going really quickly, right? If you want more control, more quality of life features, then it takes longer, right? So if, for instance, your app wants to control how the dice light up, then you need to spend more, you know, effort working, you know, specifically to like send that information to the die and, you know, custom, you know, program it and customize it, etc. But you know, if really all you just want, you know, to get started is receive the role from the die, you can, you know, be up and running in really, you know, under an hour for sure. Let me move on to the next question. In the future, will you be working with different developers for more VTT support with things like DND1 and other VTTs that may pop up? Yes. So it's in our best interest for integrations to be top notch, right? Like, we make a device and it's a die, right? And in principle, in principle, the integrations is very simple, right? It's, I roll the die and it sends the result to the app. But in practice, there's a million ramifications of, okay, I rolled 2 dice, you know, which one is which, what happens. I really wanted to roll this 1 die here, but no, actually I changed my mind, so I moved it out of the way and actually want to roll this die. Okay, how does the app know that that's what I meant when I moved this die? You know, and things like that, right? This is what I call quality of life features, right? So an easy way for you to like undo a roll, an easy way for you to you know, control the response of the die based on what's going on in the app that you're, the VTT that you're integrating with. Yeah, it is, you know, a bad integration can ruin your experience of pixels, and so we want to make sure that you know, all integrations are top notch, at least the, you know, the big ones anyway, the prominent VTT platforms. And so yes, we are and will be working with platforms. Just Eric, yeah, those update emails are amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Twitch, Macwadilin, Macwadilin on Twitch. How easy would it be to roll with advantage or disadvantage? Do you need to assign a specific die to be advantage, or can the app assume if you roll one, it is a regular roll? Love the look of them. Thank you. That is precisely what I was just talking about, right? The logic for determining player intent is not always clear, and that's why we internally have working on demos, right? Which I think we shared one of the early ones with I think it was a video Olivier posted in one of the updates of handling like, oh, I didn't mean to roll this one, or did you roll all the ones, or pick the ones you want to roll, or the app tells you pick this one. There's many ways you can handle all these UX, right, user experience issues or considerations. And so yeah, the basic of rolling advantage disadvantage, super easy, right? Roll both dice and get the higher or the lower, or show both at the same time. I think I had an early video where I showed basically the higher blinks red, green, and the lower blinks red, and so you can tell. But right, deciding that you want to roll, or the app telling you that you need to roll, etc. Right? So quality of life, user experience questions. Question from Yuma on Twitch. Oh, hi Yuma. IFTTT integration and more generally speaking, there's a word for those things. Automation platforms, right? Where you can easily connect different apps, etc. Yes, in fact, one of the ways we will support IFTTT integration from the get-go is just through one of the actions on the official Pixels app without using any third-party integration or anything, will be to be able to send a post request or a thing, something to a website, right? So when you have the phone connected to your die and your phone's basically a bridge to the internet, then you can just have a profile that says, okay, when I roll this something, just send this go to this website or send this post, etc. If it turns out that we need a slightly more user-friendly version of doing this, then we can very easily add it to IFTTT as a official what do you call it, plugin. From the Rebel on Twitch, if you are rolling multiple die with the will the app keep the accumulated total, right? So that's again along the same lines of how do the apps keep track of what you roll, how and what you meant to roll, and like I said, the difficulty is knowing the player's intent, right? And I've had this line a few times, which is I don't want the official Pixels app to be a character sheet, right? So it will be used to set your dice, program them with different patterns and rules, and then multi-die rules, etc. But it won't be game specific, right? So you will be able to have rules that specify multiple dice, that even add bonuses to the results, but it will be up to you to sort of set those up, and it won't be like a something keeping track of, oh, you're currently making an attack at advantage, so you have to roll 2 dice and pick the highest. You would have to go say, okay, this is what I'm rolling, so I want that that kind of math happening. The best way I can describe it is if you have ever typed in a roll into like a Roll20 chat, or I think maybe the Discord bots do it too, where you can just say roll 2 d20s plus 4 or whatever. It'd be more like that, right? Where you can basically, as long as you can describe the roll, it will be able to do the math for you, and then show you results, etc. But it won't be like, oh, you're making a dexterity check, right? Because we're not interested in the official app being like game specific. Hold on, I'm losing my voice for a second. Excuse me. From Macquadelin again, will the Bluetooth always be active, or do you need to link them all at the start of every session? It depends if you need it, right? So most of the time, the dice are just fine on their own. They don't need any connection. If you start wanting to do multi-die rolls and complicated rules, or obviously if you're connecting the dice to your D&D Beyond or Roll20 or Foundry, game, then completely different situation. But as far as you're sort of just around the table and using the dice, and you want to have a few special patterns play when you do certain rolls and have the results show on your phone, etc. It only depends on if you want stuff to show automatically, right? So it's something that we've actually discussed, like should the app automatically be searching for the dice every time you turn it on and connect as soon as it sees them, or should it just sort of only connect when you're telling it to? And that's probably going to be an option, like a setting, and we'll make your whatever needs to happen to make your experience pleasant is what is what we're gonna offer. From Araf, from Araf on YouTube, I have a magnet implant in my finger. Will I reset the dice with every throw? Crap. Probably yes. That is such a specific situation. No dice for you. That's a good question. I mean, I guess it depends on the size of the magnet and how you're holding the die. But yeah. Wow, why do you have a magnet in your finger? I wonder. Anyway, yeah, you might have issues. In fact, like this, our charging case, we're currently sort of reworking the closing mechanism, because it used to be magnets, but that was causing just too many sort of false resets in a sense. So it'll be more of a clipping. But yeah, so that may be an issue. I don't just wear like really thick gloves, maybe, just so you're not close to the like mitts, big mitts, and maybe you won't have an issue. All right, we've been going for an hour already, so thank you so much for sticking with me and for this update. I'm gonna hang out for a little bit longer if anybody else has questions. Otherwise, we'll probably end the stream soon. Please feel free to tell us how we're doing, if you like this having streams every once in a while, or if just the format doesn't work for you. There's going to be a recording available, of course, on Kickstarter and probably the YouTube channel. Let me think if there is anything else I should mention. One last question from just Eric: is there an NFC chip in them? There is not. Maybe Pixels 2.0 will have a NFC in them. I believe the manufacturers of the main microcontroller that we're using have a new updated microcontroller that has NFC support. So maybe in the future, but it's not a thing. Yeah, let me see. While I wait, just in case there's a few more questions, I'll see if I can play with the dice some. Let me see. Oh, the screen is dark. Hold on 1 second. 1 minute. Yes, patterns. Let me see. Hold on. Yeah, dice. Dun, dun, dun. 1 second. 1 second. Here, let me open the toolbox again. Then we'll connect to some dice. See what happens. Okay, connect. Who are you? Who are you? Connect. Come on. Oh, sorry. Nope, you don't want to connect. Oh, this one. Let's try this one. AJS1024 on Twitch asks, would future generation of Pixels also be on Kickstarter or on your own store? Most likely on our own store. I don't think, I mean, honestly, I haven't given it that much thought, but you know, the intent for us is to basically move from you know, Kickstarter to being a real business, and hello, rainbow. Oh, there we go. Here's the 6 playing a rainbow. So you can see, I don't know, let me play that again. 6, yeah, it's pretty dim. I think I may have messed up the colors on this one when I made it. Try a different die. The Rebel on Twitch, how long till they can run Crisis? Yes. You know, I mean, it would be a pretty pared down version of Crisis because clearly they don't have enough power. But what I think would be really neat, actually, more seriously speaking, and something I haven't talked about at all, is you know, integrate directly with your watch rather than your phone, because after all, there's a bunch of devices that can do that. We haven't really done any work on that sort of stuff, but I think it would be super neat, especially for accessibility. It'd be even better than a phone. Let's see, am I connected to this phone? Sorry, I'm trying to talk and do stuff at the same time. There we go. Who are you? Oh, there we go. Now we're this guy. Yay, so there we go. 6, pipped D6, turning on. Let's see, rainbow animation. Yeah, it looks really nice. I think early on, it's funny, I think early on when we made, we asked sort of what type of dice people might be interested in. The pipped D6 didn't actually turn out to be that popular. I think once we have, you know, the factory version of this, right, not the one made with poor polishing here, I think they're going to be actually a lot more popular because it's just really nice. UMOP. A long tail TTRPG world domination, you know, we'll be there. Will there still be user pattern uploadable from the Rebel? You can thank Sam from Ars Technica for finding this great project. Oh my God, Ars Technica! I think, you know, Sam gave me a heart attack, honestly. So this was very early. I sent him some really early samples that truly were, you know, full of bugs, and so he had a hell of a time, like getting the patterns to be uploaded to his dice, because whatever, there's bugs in the app, bugs in the firmware, and you know, when things don't work, it's difficult. But I also had to spend a significant amount of time sort of like detailing how the pattern, like custom pattern uploading works, which is like a really sort of advanced feature where you can just literally take an image and then it will interpret, you know, you upload it to the app and then it will interpret it as like colors for all the LEDs, you know, in a certain way. And you know, I had to explain why, for instance, like you can't have we can't really put a brown color on the LEDs or a dark blue, or like things that I don't know if people have seen this, but like uh, um, the difficulty of colors when you're dealing with lights, like LEDs, as opposed to like a screen, right? Because you can't really have a gray, right? Like you can't, it's just going to be a dim white. And so, in fact, the app, we need to do a lot of work to not let you select colors that the LED can't really display, right, correctly. And there's a lot of science behind, like, oh, why is it? My screen is clearly displaying brown and orange and gray and but why can't the LED do it? And it's context, and it's complicated stuff. But yeah, so I remember at the time I was very, very nervous, and Sam was having a hell of a time, like with the stuff I sent him, because like I said, it was super buggy, and I'm like, oh my God, it's Ars Technica, and they're gonna, blah, blah, blah. And so anyway, turned out okay. He was, he was fine. He was like pretty honest about it. He's like, yeah, it's got issues. So yeah, let me see if there's a few more. Otherwise, I think I might be ending this stream soon. And again, I want to thank you all for being here. Thank you for, the kind words. Thank you for the patience. Like I said, I will be traveling next month, finally, after 2 years, right, to oversee the first batch of production. So, send good vibes so that everything goes well. But all in all, I'm fairly optimistic. As I've tried to show, even with a few bugs along the way, like we have a method that is working, that is quick, and by quick I mean financially achievable. That gives that works and gives us good dice every time, so we're not wasting a lot on bad castings, etc., which was a big issue early on as well. We've solved all the issues we've been going through, just a little bit more slowly because of mostly the distributed nature of our team, also because I'm a big bottleneck still, and so yeah, I think I want to again thank you all for your continued support. I know it can be frustrating, but I know that for the most part you guys have been incredibly supportive, and really it warms our hearts, and we're just doing everything we can to get those dice to you. So sit tight, and hopefully we'll have some really good news on our next update. At the very least, you'll see a white dude in China, which will be interesting. And then, yeah, thank you again so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your patience and your questions and your kind words. Stay tuned. Again, if you want to continue talking about anything or have more questions, our Discord is where most of that happens. If it's important enough, Jess will get my attention directly, so I can answer the important questions. I tend to, put my head down and focus on work, so I'm not super active at the moment. But there we have incredible, team community managers. Yuma, who's been asking some of the weirdest questions here for some reason, is one of them, and they'll be more than happy to answer your questions and get me involved if necessary. So once again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for following the stream. Hopefully you'll enjoy the format. Let us know, and otherwise I will talk to you or write to you very soon. Thank you.